so shocked we don't see Uro in a match. I mean, what are the odds that we get these two non-Sultai decks to meet in such a great spot?
You know what? This makes me so happy. No mid-range shenanigans for at least one round. And then one of these players is guaranteed to get into the grand finals. So those of you who don't like seeing Uro all the time, well, sit back, relax, and enjoy the majesty of this match as we kick things off with Skirk Prospector.
Yeah, I got to say, I got to throw me and Mani under the bus a little bit. We were talking before this tournament about Azorius control, and we're like, can you believe it? There's no Uro in it. Imagine not playing Uro in a control deck. I think those were our exact words as we talked back and forth, and look at us now, Mani.
I remember that conversation.
Bud.
I remember.
Yeah.
It turns out Brad Barclay doesn't need no green to do well, as he's currently undefeated, going for the 10th win, I believe, in Historic, 10-0.
Yeah, just 10-0. So far, Brad Barclay XO'd the Swiss portion. That was easy for me to say. And now is 2-0 in this top 8. So really impressive stuff.
Yeah, let's see if he can continue this winning way as Goblin Matron is on the stack, but Sensor is going to take care of that. Will we see Skirk Prospector sacrifice itself for this Goblin Matron?
I would think not, giving away the resource on the board here when you have another Goblin Matron, but we will see what Autumn chooses.
Skirk Prospector is really such a great way to power out this Muxus. We see Phyrexian Tower, we've got the Goblin, we've got the Skirk Prospector, I should say, and we also have Ironcrag Feet in the sideboard if needs be, so, you know, a really key part to getting Muxus out early.
Wow. Autumn deciding otherwise. I don't think I've been wrong more times than casting Autumn's plays. It's just on a whole nother level.
What do we go for here? That's what I'm curious about.
I'm thinking we get Snoop. That seems like a really powerful card to just keep the train rolling here. Hooray, got one right.
Snoop, there it is.
Snoop, there it is. Impressive.
All right, so Goblin Matron down on the battlefield. We've got counter spells to protect against any big play here, but we do have now 2 Snoops. I'll play both of them, though.
So the one thing that we're going to see a little bit different from Brad Barclay is up against Brad Nelson earlier, we saw Teferi being held on, you know, for a long time. Here, if you have a 2-mana piece of interaction, you're going to play Teferi every time against Goblin, untap, and then interact. That's going to be the big turn for Barclay.
Right, so Barclay not firing off that absorb. Instead, going to go for a Baby Shark, it looks like. Cycle that away. And draw a card, create a 1/1. Finds another Shark Typhoon. All right, so it's going to be Sharks versus Goblins. I wonder if the Sharks will eat these Goblins for lunch.
The age-old fight, that's for sure.
An epic battle. Sharks versus Goblins.
Playing Castle Vantress there, so that leads me to believe that we are in the market to just keep this Shark plan going if you don't have to absorb anything. Did have the option to play Irrigated Farmland.
Looks like potentially going for a 2/2 here. If there is a Muxus coming down, there's an Absorb ready and waiting for it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be the name of the game here from Brad, is just no matter what, whatever play he wants to make, it has to have Muxus in mind whenever it can be cast, because that is just the way to absolutely lose. And that's the big advantage with these Azorius control decks, is there's so many ways to interact with that powerful card.
Yeah, but only one so far in the Absorb, so he's going to have to pick his spot carefully here until he finds another counterspell backup. I don't think we'll see an attack here, knowing that there's Sharks in the deck, but then again, I am wrong too.
Yeah, right? It's rough out there. Autumn always proving us wrong. The one thing I do love about this attack is anytime Autumn attacks into what could be a Shark, that just means that she is okay with a Shark happening. And if a Shark does come out here, we just get to play Muxus, you know?
Yeah.
Or Kranko or something really powerful here. So right now, Autumn is just saying, I dare you.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense then. If you want to use all your mana to get in the way of my 2 goblins, like Conspicuous Snoop is a bit of a pain in the backside for these decks, then yeah, Muxus gets to resolve. We don't get a crazy attack off with the Muxus and potentially get blown out. Ooh, next turn. Grafdigger's Cage is going to be a little too late here with a Wrath of God or something like that.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess we can't even get Muxus into play now with both of those goblins going to the yard, but Kranko's still really nice, especially against Bafflingen. Can't really do anything about Kranko here.
But this opens up the opportunity now for the Grafdigger's Cage to come down and prevent any Muxus shenanigans.
Yeah, and Grafdigger's Cage for game 1 against Goblins is really, really brutal because what deck actually does that, right? It's these Karn the Great Creator decks that can search it up game 1, but I think Azorius Control is the only deck that can play that card game 1, and that's one of the really big appeals to this. This is definitely one of Historic's iconic cards here.
Yeah, for sure. And I do like that the Goblin deck, while Muxus is the main objective in the deck, it's not the only way to win. That's like the unfair way to win. We've seen Autumn prefer playing Kranko Mob Boss several games now, rather just flooding the board with 1/1s and just winning in the go wide strategy instead of this crazy off-the-top Muxus, whatever the heck you draw for that one.
Totally agree. The versatility from these Goblin decks is just exactly what makes it so appealing.
So here we see Bafflingen on Skirk Prospector, as well as the Grafdigger's Cage come down. So now Kranko is going to have a lot of work to do here.
Yeah, and the Brad Barclay putting the shields down effectively, not having Absorb mana open, and lining up a nice play next turn. If the battlefield doesn't get too crazy, we could see Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, draw a card, untap 2 land, and have Absorb available there if the battlefield isn't too threatening. So this is Autumn's big turn here to start cranking out some goblins.
I see what you did there.
Thank you. Thank you.
First things first, Goblin Matron gonna go and find something. What's it gonna be? Muxus is essentially shut off for now.
Yeah, usually you just snap, go get Muxus here, but with Cage on the battlefield, it is plan B time. So Goblin Chieftain is definitely a consideration to be able to start a quicker clock, maybe another Kranko to deal with that. Matron to just keep it going. That's pretty interesting.
Matron into what should we find this time round? Only Autumn will tell.
I do like this because not putting Snoop out there, that is your really nice card post Wrath of God. And with how the game has played out, and the fact that I believe Brad has 4 Wrath of Gods in the main, I could be wrong, I'm double checking right now, that you really do just want to set up a good play after a Wrath here, and Snoop is perfect for that on just starting to get the ball rolling again.
Yeah. So Kranko doing Kranko things, creating 3 little goblins. Irrigated farmland's going to be cycled away to find another Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and a Glacial Fortress is the draw for turn. Let's slow this down. What's up, Teferi?
Everyone's favorite planeswalker.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
And here, Teferi doesn't exactly have the best plan to survive next turn, and almost assuredly will be attacked down. But having the second one, it basically is 5 mana, gain 5 life, draw a card. So not a bad play at all.
But is there any world in which we just win now on Autumn's side?
I think with what Autumn has right now, this could happen. With the Absorb, I don't think it can happen because you really need that like Goblin Chieftain to go crazy here. So I don't think we'll see the game over this turn, although it is a possibility. So we'll see if Autumn goes for that line.
Yeah, Teferi being able to untap 2 lands in the end step leaves up the counterspell mana for Absorb.
Absolutely. Effectively making Teferi cost 3, which just makes it even more powerful.
Here comes the Gobbo. Or here's the option to just pump up the team and not give Barclay or give Brad Barclay the chance to gain any life here, but this will most likely be met with an absorb as it's fired off, gain 3 life, and counter this Lord.
Yeah, and a good reason to play that pre-combat, of course, you know, because that does boost your attackers, but it also lets Autumn know if this attack is completely safe, maybe a 1/1 shark or something where, you know, you wouldn't want to just attack just 5 creatures to Teferi if a Shark Typhoon could keep Teferi alive. That makes for a really dangerous turn from Barclay for the next turn.
Yeah, so Brad Barclay's just got another copy of Teferi, Hero of Dominaria in hand, so not too much going for him. We'll be able to draw a card off of Teferi's plus ability, though. Would love to find a Wrath of God.
Yeah, that's it. That's the card we really want right now.
Finds a Shark Typhoon instead.
Okay.
All right, so that's one blocker in the way.
I think we might be done here. On board. It's on board lethal with these Castle Arden Veils. Brad knows that, so at this point, I think it becomes Cycle Shark exactly for 0 to try to find it.
There's a Narset. That's not going to do it.
Looks like Autumn is going to be 1 game up on avenging my brother here from last round.
Draw a card. What do we find? Another Shark Typhoon. That's not going to do it either.
Big smile of relief there from Autumn.
Yep. Thank you for not killing my battlefield. Much appreciated. Now let's pump up some gobbos. Not even going to get the chances. Brad Barclay scoops them on up. And we're going to go to game number 2. But before we do that, friends, we're going to take a very, very short break. And when we come back, we will join the players as they are sideboarding. So don't go anywhere.
What's up, guys?
Hello, everybody.
Just wanted to give you a quick glimpse at where I play my matches of Magic these days. Right here from this desk is where all the magic happens, quite literally.
And as a streamer, you know, you can't go wrong with the green screen in the background. And then my little desktop right over there.
My battle station slash workstation, nothing special here, it's a computer. What is cool though, right next to it, this is where I store all my Magic cards.
The webcams, the mic, and everything else I need to make videos compete in the ZNR Rising Championship. Got the trophies, the check, and then see it says LSV. That's how you know it's mine.
I take keyboard, I take headset, monitor, webcam, and desktop.
That door stays closed so that my daughters don't run in, turn off my computer, which has happened in the past.
Bueno, este es un poquito el setup desde el que yo juego. Atrás tengo mis trofeos y un par de playmats que me gustan mucho. Y ahora les voy a mostrar mi computadora, mis 2 compus.
Yeah, this is how it usually looks like when I'm playing Magic or streaming with a Pac-Man in the background.
My trusty bottle of water and a glass. Always drink a lot of water. I drink so much water.
Both screens, the headset, keyboard, mouse, and of course my trusted advisors.
My gaming setup's right here. This is where all the magic happens.
Right behind me, those are the paintings and my 2 biggest fans, Minion number 1 and Minion number 2.
This is my home setup right here. Got my dual screens, custom built computer.
One of the most important thing is also my hand warmer.
And I also have this arcade machine that I love to talk about. And it has like 600 games from the 80s and 90s era of games.
It's mine, it's home, and that's where we stream from.
Welcome back to the upper finals of the ZNR Rising Championship. It is Brad Barclay down a game against Autumn Burchett. Azorius Control versus Mono Red Goblins. Corey, tell us about what we are doing in sideboards.
Sideboarding from Brad's perspective here, it doesn't look like we changed the build of the deck too much here. It seems like it's pretty good against Goblins. We have another Shatter that we can bring in. You know, get rid of some of these sensors here. They're not super effective against like Skirk Prospector, maybe some Narsets we get out of there. But for the most part, we're keeping it pretty close to the same there. Autumn side, bringing in more of those Herald's Horn. We've just been seeing that card just be so excellent against anything that is a little bit slower. And good news for Autumn is that's every single deck in this top 8 right now. So it really does come in probably every copy against every deck in the top 8. So a really smart sideboard card there.
Yeah, we saw Autumn up to 3 in the previous game against Tomasz Pokorny, and just being able to refill the hand every single time. It's such a great piece of technology added into this archetype. So kudos again to that team for including the Herald's Horn.
Very smart. I agree.
Ooh, turn 1 Cage. Ooh. Ouch.
Yeah, that's really good. I didn't get to see if Autumn decided to bring in a Braid. A Braid is not very good, excuse me, against the rest of the deck, but you do really need it for Cage. Or if Autumn just says, I'm going to go for plan B and just try to do other Goblin stuff instead of relying on Muxus.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go, especially with turn 1 Cage down now. You could just see the nod of the head like, okay, this is fine. Now I know what game I'm playing as Autumn Burchett.
Yeah, living in that world, essentially. And, oh, big sigh of relief. Land number 3 was huge here. If we didn't get that land, it was attack for 2, your go from Autumn. So huge draw step there.
Finding Castle Emberth off the top. We see a Goblin Matron hanging out, but we're going to get Goblin War Chief down potentially to make the rest of our team a little cheaper. Or is it time for the Herald's Horn?
I think War Chief here, just because it's a redundant copy. So if you do lose one of these, I think that's just completely fine. The one Herald's Horn seems like the card you want to play when the coast is clear, would be my guess. Yeah.
Swinging on in goes both the creatures. There is a Seal Away ready to flash in and take one of these tapped creatures. Gonna go for the Goblin War Chief. Conspicuous Snoop gets in for 2.
Yeah, that is the one powerhouse combo from Standard a few years ago. To Fairy, untap, seal away a creature. That always felt so nice.
Felt nice for you.
Yeah.
What about our feelings, Corey? Stop touching our stuff.
Teferi doesn't care. Teferi doesn't care.
Teferi, no carry. Rude.
All right. Good.
Snoop needs a friend, so here comes Goblin War Chief. Down on the battlefield, ready to swing on in. There is a Shark Typhoon ready and waiting to gobble up one of these gobbos, though.
Yeah, Snoop Gob and Goblin War Chief getting in here. Shark Typhoon here for 2 is excellent, though. Right now, Brad Barclay's setup here, if he can get a land, is pretty huge. Being able to cycle a shark, block something, essentially establish a 2-for-1 right here and there, and then Teferi untap and have Disdainful Stroke for something big is a nice setup.
And finds the land. There we go. That's big. Hallowed Fountain, Teferi down, Disdainful Stroke for a Krenko. That is awesome.
That is huge. And normally, if Autumn sees 2 mana untapped, if Disdainful Stroke was the only thing you had to worry about, it's pretty easy to play around it. Oh, that just
and an Essence Scatter. Oh my goodness.
And that's the tough part of playing against this Azorius control deck. At 2 mana, you could have Disdainful Stroke, Censor, Essence Scatter, Negate. Like, how do you play around all of those? And the answer is you can't.
So Essence Scatter on the Goblin Chieftain. No haste, no +1/+1 for you. You're going to have to kill Teferi on your own there, little conspicuous Snoop. And that's exactly where the attention turns. Have to get this powerful Planeswalker off the battlefield.
That was such a huge top deck from Brad because that Goblin Chieftain was going to allow a 5-point attack to Teferi. We all know when you untap with a Teferi Hero of Dominaria, the chances of winning the game against that really do plummet.
I love how in the previous game, Brad Nelson just scoops as soon as he sees Teferi Hero of Dominaria, but we won't see this in this game, as Autumn Burchett would love to get a clean 2-0 into the grand finals. Just a reminder to everyone, this is the upper final. We are going to determine one of our very first grand finalists here between Brad and Autumn.
Yeah, the big bro is a little less patient than Autumn is here, so I think we'll be playing that one out.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not a case yet either where Autumn is sitting without a hand full of stuff to do, you know. Most of it's going to get countered, whatever she decides to play this turn.
Yeah, but for Autumn, step one is just, okay, how can I sequence my spells in such a way that I take care of this Planeswalker? That's step number one. And, you know, similarly, from the flip side, Brad Barclay's game plan is how can I keep this Planeswalker alive for as long as possible?
Yeah. He does have a spare, unbeknownst to Autumn, but still, this one on the battlefield needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, and on surface value with just how the Snoop is just the only attacker right now. Next turn, you could just go activate Castle, attack Teferi to cleanly deal with that. But Shark Typhoon can step in the way of that. So really tough spot here for Autumn.
Yeah, there's several options here. Either try and fire off the Krenko. That gets Disdainful Stroked. You can try and get the Herald's Horn down. That may also be absorbed. Goblin Matron with the Skirk Prospector, but looks like we're going to go for Krenko Mob Boss. As Brad Barclay now decides which counterspell to use, and it's going to be Disdainful Stroke.
Yep, and I really like that because there's not actually too many Disdainful Stroke targets now that Muxus is being controlled with Grafdigger's Cage. So that really is the main target. So that's for sure what you want to hit as your Disdainful Stroke target.
It's just removal after removal off the top here for Brad as he finds a Baffling End and a Wrath of God.
Yeah,
all right.
Rough game here, that's for sure.
Yeah, this one's going to be real tough for Autumn to win.
Yeah, and Conspicuous Snoop here, just a 2-mana 2/2 with Cage in play. We're not really getting to see the power of that card in action.
Not yet, anyway, as Herald's Horn is going to come down here. Will Brad Barclay absorb this?
Pretty interesting. It's a really tough card for Brad to deal with, so I would assume that he does. But it also was the avenue to double spell here for Autumn. So now, yeah, sure, you can play the Skirk Prospector, but it's not great.
Yeah.
And with the
I love watching the players talking to themselves.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing you can't do in a real life tournament, you talking to yourself giving away your plays. I wouldn't recommend it.
No, let's not do that. It's going to be interesting to see when live events do happen again, how many people have gotten into the habit of talking to themselves. I'm like, dude, why are you telling me your hand? Oh,
yeah.
Darn.
Although I have definitely played against players that do kind of talk out their plays. It throws me off. So maybe that's just a good play, actually.
Oh, my goodness me. Another Teferi Hero of Dominaria drawn here for Brad Barclay.
Yeah.
Teferis aplenty. Let's see what we find off the top of the library. It's going to be a Censor, which you mentioned isn't super great in this match. I wasn't really doing too much, but as Baffling End for the Skirk Prospector, looks like that's what we're going to go to next, just to make sure that there's no extra mana shenanigans from this irritating little 1/1.
Yeah, and with Skirk Prospector off the battlefield here, Censor actually becomes decent. Like, normally I would expect Brad to just cycle this right now to maybe just either keep hitting land drops or hit a hard counterspell. But here, with only 5 mana, Censor could actually have some text, and in fact, I think it's going to have some text this turn.
Herald's Horn on the stack is going to name Goblins. And Goblin Matron being fired off into the Censor that would otherwise go to waste or be cycled away.
Oh, hard cast.
Is it time?
Hard cast. Hard cast.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
the Fairy Hero of Dominaria minusing 3, so sending that to the 3rd spot in the library and being replaced by his evil twin.
That's a flex right there when you're like, I got extra Teferis. I don't need that.
Yeah, I got spares. Oh, Wrath of God into Wrath of God. This is looking dire.
Yeah, this is rough.
Well, hey, Goblin Trash Master. That can take care of a cage.
Yeah. That is one way to set up something. I mean, at this point, you're so far behind, you really have to turn to your powerful 6-drop again and just try to think, okay, how can I get Muxus into play and one-shot Brad? And step one is getting Cage off the battlefield.
Yep, so let's see what Goblin Matron finds up. Is it going to be the Muxus Goblin Grandee? Will this give away that there is a way to deal with the Grafdigger's Cage? Or are we just going to find Goblin Ringleader is going to be the pick?
Okay, just trying to just gather more goblins here. I like that.
It's a goblin gathering.
You know what? I'm not.
The fairy drawing yet another card finds a hallowed fountain alongside the plains that was the draw for turn.
I know what chat's rooting for here, but I bet we don't see it, and we just see a giant cycle here. We can make a 6/6 shark, and that is truly a clock.
Yes, indeed. As another goblin ringleader is drawn here for Autumn Burchett, but alas, any goblins that do make their way onto the battlefield are going to end up squished under the wrath of God. But let's see what the goblin ringleader finds. Just the goblin chieftain.
Not a great hit here. I'd be even pretty, pretty curious what goblins really do get you out of this situation. This is a tough spot.
I think the only potential way for Autumn to get out of this would be if this goblin trash master hits the battlefield, kills Cage into a Muxus the next turn somehow.
Yep, I totally agree. And now with cast out too, to have some instant speed way to really all you have to stop if a big Muxus turn were to come is just a haste creature, right? Then you just untap Wrath of God and we're done.
Yeah. 2 cast outs now available as well to Brad Barclay, 2 Wrath of Gods, and a backup to Fairy. This is not looking good for Autumn Burchett.
Yeah, this Elder Shark here is going to put some quick work to this.
Here comes Goblin Ringleader number 2. What can it find off the top of the library? Cast out's going to get cycled. Finds a Glacial Fortress. Nice.
That isn't something you want to see from Autumn side.
No.
Cycling away a powerful card like that.
Yeah, it's like, suspicious.
Yes.
Very, very suspicious. So a decent hit there for the Goblin Ringleader. Finds 2 Skirk Prospectors and a conspicuous Snoop.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been, shouting from the rooftops Autumn's excellent play throughout the weekend, and it has been phenomenal, but I do not want that to take away from Bradley Barclay's play too. Just a control master, just playing Dimir and Azorius control in the 2 formats and just really playing it with ease.
Yeah, and undefeated so far in the historic portion of this tournament. So looking to extend that undefeated lead, perhaps even into the grand finals.
Keep up the pace.
All right, the Fairy, what you got there, bud? Another Shark Typhoon. Oh, come on, give us what we want. Hard
Is it
cast,
time?
hard cast.
This one actually is pretty good, I think, because you get to cast Shark Typhoon and then cast out and make a 4/4 Shark. If there was ever a time, this would be the time.
I think he's maybe thinking about a Wrath of God here.
Yeah,
maybe.
But if we play Shark Typhoon and then cast out, we're not really in danger of dying. And then that is lethal as well. All right, Brad. We see how it is.
Disappointed.
Yeah.
It's all right, though. We'll forgive you.
We have to, yep.
So another mountain here for Autumn. Desperate to find a way to close out this game, but this Shark is just applying so much pressure on the life total here. Going to cycle into another one.
Yeah, pretty brutal here. And Brad Barclay can present lethal and play cast out here still. So I would assume we get one more turn here and Brad will be closing this one out.
Yeah, for sure. So do we go for the Snoop here and try and find something off the top of the library, maybe like a Krenko? The cast out would prevent an attack here with the Hasters, though. Goblin Trashmaster is going to come on down and boost all the goblins.
And now Bradley's just looking with Autumn tapped out. What exactly do I have to do to just guarantee that I win this game? And I think it's cast out on Goblin Chieftain. And we'll see this come to its conclusion.
Yep. With the cycled Shark. Doesn't even have to be the biggest Shark. It can be a little old tutu, baby.
Yep.
And that'll be enough to get the job done here for Brad Barclay in game number 2 of our upper finals.
One game to see who moves to the finals here. This is going to be exciting.
It is indeed. I must say, I'm very impressed though with this Goblin deck, just being able to like almost go toe for toe with this Azorius control deck once it hits its stride.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, really the only way that this Azorius control deck can really actually gain control of it, as far as I've been seeing, is when you untap with Teferi. Just giving yourself 2 additional mana to counter something while being able to act during your turn. Without that, it does seem like this Goblin deck just has the longevity to really fight toe for toe against removal spells and counter spells.
Yeah. Having cards like the Matron to go find up other things, having the Goblin Ringleader to go and draw off the top as well. You know, Herald's Horn, just proving that it's a great addition to this deck too. But yeah, this Azorius control deck is certainly something that no one was prepared for, and I think this is Autumn's least preferred match.
Yeah. Yeah, all the Azorius flavors, Azorius Auras and Azorius Control, probably not the best.
So here comes the little shark. Goblin Trash Master is going to blow up that cage, but it's going to be for naught as Autumn is tapped out, can't do anything but get a snoop down if she wants to. And we'll take lethal damage in the air next turn.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything you could find off the top as far as a goblin that keeps you alive against these sharks here. So this is going to do it.
Yep, good game from Autumn Pet. In for 10 in the air with these sharks. We're going to go to game number 3 between Brad Barclay and Autumn Burchett to determine who our very first grand finalist is going to be. This is a close one.
This is close. And looking at the way Autumn sideboarded now, it makes sense. Not leaning on Muxus, not bringing in a Braid, even cut one of the most powerful cards in the deck, Muxus, just realizing that Cage can really, you know, shut the deck down in that regard. You just want to have a great plan B. And are my eyes seeing me correctly? Is that only one Cage that Brad is bringing in? Wow.
I believe you only had 1 Cage in the previous game as well. And you had it in the opening hand, so...
Yeah, that's fair. You never do want to draw a second one, so it makes sense. Just it's a nice one of, especially when it's in your opening hand, like last game.
Oh,
wow.
Man. And again?
Right as I say that, just as it's in your opening hand in both games, why play more than one?
What a hand.
Unreal.
Oh, this is going to be a struggle bus for Autumn.
Yeah, that is a insanely powerful hand from Brad. Pretty land heavy hand from Autumn. You know, if we can top deck something like Goblin Ringleader, something right off the top, this will be great.
Yeah, gonna kick things off here with a Mind Stone. Also another addition to the decks that we don't often see in the Goblin decks. You know, just being able to ramp up and draw a card late game.
Yeah, a really cool, innovative take here as well. I really like that.
So we do have the Goblin Crater Maker here. I believe it can blow up Cage.
Yeah, colorless permanent. That's exactly what I was checking out right now, and that is an answer to the 1 of Cage here. So if this resolves, this is huge. Okay.
It does indeed.
Yeah, if we can destroy this at end step, you know, there's a certain 6-drop that we want on top of your library.
Oh, yes. But there is a Disdainful Stroke in hand here for Brad, so even if there was a Muxus, we wouldn't get to have our fun just yet.
Ooh, but that was a great draw.
Little conspicuous Snoop off the top of the library alongside the Goblin Chieftain now. Autumn is certainly ramping up here.
Yeah, a lot of mana to play with, and the one, you know, great thing that Mind Stone does here, ramps you early, and then if Autumn were to start flooding, redraw a card here. And it's also really good with Snoop to just manipulate the top. Let's say the top is a land, and you really want, ooh, that's a nice one too. If the top is a land and you want to try to play a goblin off the top, just draw a card and take another look at it.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to go for the Chieftain here and just start smacking? Yes. Yes, we do.
The big consideration there being, am I okay if this board gets Wrath, says Autumn. And with a Wrath coming, that does mean Brad would be tapped out. And then this horn on the top would resolve. That's a pretty nice consolation prize.
Yeah, and also leaving out the mana for the Goblin Crater Maker if there was Wrath to sacrifice itself in response to kill the cage. So not too shabby.
Now we do see a seal away here. So sealing away this Goblin Chieftain would lower this attack to 4 instead of 8. But, you know, then if you top deck Wrath of God, then you feel kind of bad that you used your removal.
Yeah.
But probably something you still have to play here with just a huge attack coming already.
Yeah, you want to make sure you don't take too much damage.
Exactly.
Because this deck can just pummel you out of nowhere.
We've seen time and time again, that's for sure.
In for 4, down to 16 goes Barclay. Finds a cost out as the draw for turn.
Okay.
And is going to Baffling End something here. Potentially the Conspicuous Snoop, most likely.
Yep, exactly. If you target the Crater Maker, if that cage just falls, that's not great.
Just blows itself up.
Yep. All right.
But now this is a really nice addition to the deck here for Autumn if this Herald's Horn gets down on the battlefield.
Yeah, looking like it's going to resolve too, so that is going to be super helpful. Oh!
Ooh, that's going to be big next turn.
Yeah.
Oh, we need... see, I was about to say, we need Teferi to come down to the battlefield, or the cost out or something, but he's just going to untap, and there's going to be a Disdainful Stroke, and we won't get to see Muxus, and...
Yeah.
And then we're going to be sad.
Gonna be sad. Teferi untap, like exactly what you're saying. Untap, have Disdainful Stroke when it's not being pressured is exactly what Brad wants, and there it is.
Yep,
the land.
Finds the 5th land.
That's huge.
Hey, Teferi, you want to come hang out?
Now, Brad has a consideration though, deciding to play it, but considering if there's like another Goblin Chieftain, you know, it just, you lose your Teferi right away. You're not able to protect it at all. But if it's not there, the ceiling on that card, meaning how good that card can possibly be, is very, very high.
Let's skip to the good part.
Teferi draws a card, Castle Ardenvale, off the top. Gonna untap.
Yeah.
And we're gonna destroy a non-colored permanent.
Yeah, and you're pretty priced into doing this now if you plan to cast Muxus. And I mean, what else are you doing with Muxus if not, you know, trying to win the game with it? Now you're just praying if you're Autumn, like, please do not have a Disdainful Stroke. Ooh, that's nice.
They always have it though, right?
They always do. Yep, it's
They
perfect.
always do.
Okay.
So now I'm curious to see if Autumn just decides, all right, let's just run out our 2 lesser threats. Would we have enough damage to kill Teferi with the 2 smaller goblins?
It looks like we're one off,
One
which
off.
is kind of the big thing here. And I think that is the reason to go for this. Now, one thing Autumn could do here is Goblin War Chief into Muxus. I'm kind of shocked we don't see that to be able to play 2 things.
Yeah, you could almost see like Autumn knew that that was going to get countered. It was just shaking the head as she held it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little shocked by that. It seems like you can't really counter the Goblin War Chief if you have like Essence Scatter or something with fear that you could go land Muxus. But yeah.
Here comes Cost Outs. It's going to deal with the Herald's Horn.
All of a sudden, this is looking pretty bad for Autumn.
Yeah. Goblin Ringleader. All right, that's a pretty good draw.
That is excellent. Now can we pressure that Teferi?
Time will tell. There's a Herald's Horn off the top of the library, so that'll be able to replace the one stolen by the Cost Out of the previous turn.
And that is a good reason to not play Goblin Ringleader here, because, you know, it will just get rid of that horn. There'll be one less target you can get. So it really seems like the only play you can make here is War Chief.
Yeah, let's swing it and try and kill this Teferi. There is a Shark Typhoon, though, so one of these goblins is going to get gobbled up.
Yeah, Shark Typhoon here for the Snoop is so very good. And just Brad having all the answers right now. Everything coming up Brad Barclay.
Indeed. As Shark Typhoon cycled away, alas, we won't get to see a hardcore Shark Typhoon this turn, or the coming turn. As this 2/2 is going to jump in the way here of the Goblin War Chief. 2 points of damage to Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, but still on 4 loyalty.
Yeah,
and another cost out. Oof.
Brad Barclay trying to get revenge for that crazy match that we saw yesterday where Questing Beast was drawn at the exact moment to take Brad down in standard. Trying to get revenge here, says Brad.
And what better way to do it than potentially continuing an undefeated streak?
Yeah, just unreal. Poised to go 10-0 with this Azorius control deck that most people regarded as not really a deck or a real deck in Historic that people would expect. They just say, add green, play Uro. Why not, right?
Mm-hmm. Here comes Skirk Prospector, adding to the battlefield.
Okay.
Conspicuous Snoop is such a good card.
Yeah, Snoop, there it is.
And now, do you risk it for the biscuit and try to get Harold's Horn down?
I think you do, but Censor is going to have something to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and here's the really rough spot. Is like, do you play around another Shark Typhoon? Like, are you winning the game if you don't attack? I don't think so. Autumn agrees, but this Shark is just going to be just such a blowout.
This is going to be a big Shark.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even be shocked if Brad only does it for 3 to keep Censor up as well. And that's good enough right now.
Yep.
Oh.
You called it. 3/3 Shark gonna chomp on this Conspicuous Snoop. Finds an Absorb with the cycle.
Just
Bye-bye, little guy.
Such great sequencing here from Brad. Just really, really excellent play.
Yeah, you can see he's super comfortable with his control deck. It's not like he just picked up something that, you know, everyone was playing and was like, ah, yeah, sure, let's give this a try. Nope. He stuck to his guns and has been rocking it with the control decks this weekend.
Yeah, you can pay for the Censor here, and I think you have to.
Yeah. Goodbye, little prospector. You did your job.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, at this point in the game, it's Autumn's got to fight over the cards that give advantage or give at least some form of card draw. Like Red's not particularly well known for drawing cards, so if you have this powerful artifact that lets you dig through your library potentially, then you know you're going to want to fight over it and keep it. But unfortunately, this cost out is just going to stop that from happening.
Yeah, and Brad's just been all about controlling those aspects of Goblins this entire match. If we didn't have cast out, I would have been shocked if Brad didn't -3 to Teferi on that horn as well.
Yeah. Speaking of a -3, that's exactly what Teferi did to get rid of that critter.
Brutal. And the Absorb here to stop this. Oh.
This is rough. Things are looking very dire indeed here for Autumn Burchett, but things are looking fantastic for Brad Barclay. So if you are in Team Barclay's side, you've got to know that this game is going to be coming to an end shortly if things keep going like this.
100%. And now you get to this point, if you're the Azorius control deck, you can start activating Castle Ardenvale and then untap it, activate it again to be cranking out 2/1/1s a turn to really just try to put an end to this game.
Yep. So much mana to work with here. Axe of Planeswalker on the battlefield. Look at all these enchantments he's got. And now we're just going to start pumping out little tokens to get this game over and done with.
But 2 lands off the top means this Snoop can kind of go to town, so we need that top to be a goblin.
It's not a goblin.
No,
it's a land.
That's
Who put these mountains in my goblin deck? Castle Vantress, gonna scry. Try find something a little better than these 2 lands. Both bottom. Let's see what we draw here. If we're gonna scry one more time before the draw.
Makes sense. Just any way to deal with this Snoop. Bradley recognizing that this is one way.
There's one.
Yep. Brad recognizing that this is one way that Autumn could get back into this.
Yeah, find something off the top like a Krenko, but cost out is going to deal with this itty bitty goblin, and Teferi's just going to keep drawing cards and keep pressing the advantage here with these token creatures. So what started off really well here for Autumn Burchett in this upper final has now fallen apart a little bit as Brad Barclay is just continually putting his foot on the gas here with these creatures.
And the thing that makes it even worse is we've all been here where you play against Azorius control. It's never fast, too. You have to just wait around. They take forever to actually kill you, even though the game feels really, really over.
Yeah, it's a slow death indeed.
I like that
Autumn. Disdainful stroke.
I like that Autumn is saying, I can activate my castles, too.
Mine is just a little less efficient than yours right now, as I have no creatures. So we got a disdainful stroke off the top. We got another plane, so certainly no lack of land here for Brad Barclay as these creatures just keep going to town here on Autumn's life total. I don't see any outs for her in the situation, unfortunately, Corey.
Neither do I. I think this one is all but wrapped up. I think the one out was Muxus to make a crazy Muxus turn, but with that disdainful stroke, it seems like this will be the end. But of course, not the actual end of the road. This is double elimination. So all you Autumn fans out there, we still can win the whole thing.
Yes, for sure. As Goblin Chieftain is found, can go swinging in at a fairy. But that life total is dwindling now. And I think we have enough mana to make 2 Ardenvale tokens. Or just 1.
I think we're one. Yeah, a couple short. So it won't be actual lethal here from Brad's side, but pretty close.
Yeah, very close indeed. Castle Emberth Pump, getting in some damage there on good old Teferi. But as always, as true control players, Brad Barclay is in no rush to get this game over and done with. Please hard cost that Shark Typhoon.
Yeah, come on.
Please, give us what we want.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it.
Do it for Twitch chat.
For Twitch chat, Brad?
For Twitch chat. Nope. Ever the patient player. Come on, do it. Do it. Do it. Damn.
Dang it.
We'll get him. We'll get him. He'll succumb to the power of us.
A true control player, though, Brad, playing conservatively, knows what control is all about here.
Yeah, masterclass in control play is Brad Barclay giving us. And that's going to be all she wrote on this attack back. Nothing Autumn can do, unfortunately, as we're going to see another big old shark make its way onto the battlefield. Potentially.
This one's going to be large. Good 7/7 charge.
Just a 5/5. Leaving up that disdainful stroke just in case.
Yeah, I like that Brad knows there's no cards in hand, but that's a true control player right there. Leaving up mana just in case, even though you know there's no cards in hand.
There's the concession from Autumn Burchett. So Brad Barclay is our very first grand finalist. Congratulations, Brad.